Magic,
Nice.
which is always a good thing to have in a player.
Mm-hmm. All right, so it seems to be the day of Abzan, if you will. Back-to-back Abzan action. Ryan is borrowing Eric Ford's deck.
Okay. Some boggles, if you will.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward deck to pilot for newer players getting into Modern.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You know, you play the guy that can't be targeted by your opponent, and then you start just putting other things on him.
Yeah.
You play the non-creature spells targeting. That being said, I think that Boggles is actually a very, very difficult deck to pilot.
Yes.
I think you have to know your mulligans. You have to know your matchups. I think
that the mulligan part is the hardest thing for newer players. And I see that time and time again when I'll sit there and play against somebody and they might keep a 3-creature hand, 2 lands kind of thing, and like maybe 1 enchantment there. And I'm like, you could probably have just shipped that back and not kept something like that. But
well, and the other thing is I know you playing Infect are no stranger to mulligans making or breaking you, where you've probably learned the hard way that bad keeps are bad keeps and good mulligans are good mulligans.
Yes.
So, I made a joke, I think, with Brett the other night on, that I would say that all mulligans are bad mulligans, which they are in the sense of you're never like, yes, I get the mulligan, but it's definitely correct to mulligan sometimes, and I think with those types of decks you gotta have it. So.
Oh, so this is the feel bad moment for most Boggle players out there.
Yeah.
You can look at my hand. I probably don't have that many creatures in there. 1, maybe 2, kind of thing.
And what? It's looking like the old. What's the name of that elf?
I keep wanting to say Glistener. Yeah, it's
Glimmer.
not.
Oh man, we are terrible noobs.
Oh. I gotta find it. It's in here.
Chat's gonna
Glaive Cover
Glaive
Scout.
Cover Scout. It is an elf, right?
It is.
Okay, thank you. So
an elf scout.
I'll just call it Glimmer Elf. Glaive Cover Scout. Thank you.
Only elf that matters is Glistener Elf. What are you talking about?
Don't let anyone tell you we don't do our homework on Modern Magic Mondays. It is untrue. Traverse the Uvenwald here, I would assume without Delirium, since there's only 1 card in there. So you're just going to find up a basic here.
Mm-hmm.
That card, very, very good, and I think it was interesting to actually see it being played and it being good and modern.
That's the next card.
I didn't necessarily see it on the radar. It wasn't on my radar anyway.
No,
I play it in Commander, but it's a very different format. So,
all right, we do have a creature. Here's our Slippery Boggle. And when Al was sitting there and searching through with Traverse, we were also able to see that he runs a basic Swamp and a basic Plains. And those are the only basics that he does run for his list there. But
Brett is such a troll. The trolliest of trolls. Thank you, Brett. We didn't know. I couldn't card bot it because I didn't know the name of it until just now.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, friend.
That's true. If there's ever a card that you don't know what it does, and we're sitting here talking about it, simply just look it up. Exclamation card in the card's name, or close enough to it. Cardbot will help you out. Alright. Grimflare here. Hanging out, being a bear. But that Slippery Boggle does have flying right now.
Flying in, was it +1/+0?
Yep.
Old Griff's Boon, I believe the card is.
And looks like he's got... Ooh. Okay, so saying, hey, whenever I deal damage, I'm going to draw a card. And debating about his next enchantment choice here. We'll opt for some Rancor. So 2, 3, 4. I will deal 4 to you, and I will draw a card off of that.
The Griff Spoon, I think, is an interesting choice for the Boggles list. A good choice. I usually use interesting and bad, but this one is interesting. Because if you look at the second ability there on the card bot, it has 3 and a white, return Griff Spoon from your graveyard to the battlefield, attached to target creature. I activate only as a sorcery. So, one of the biggest problems that Boggles does have is if you can manage to get their creatures off the board with the enchantments, with the exclusion of Rancor, a lot of them just go away, and suddenly they're just gone. Like 1 for XG, where X is the number of tears you want to cry. And Griff Spoon kind of helps with that. Rancor, those are 2 big ones. But
Al's got a Liliana in his hand.
Well,
hey,
what does that do?
Target player has to sacrifice a creature.
You're about to learn what that does.
And Ryan just so happens to have only 1 creature. So he will lose all of those enchantments and that creature except for Rancor. But like you said, Griff Spoon could have some value later on if things go long enough here. And we'll see 2 damage come across.
We're going to see Grimflayer do a little business here. He's going to do a Sensei's Divining Top impression himself. The Grimflayer will let him pretty much rearrange the top and put any cards in his graveyard that he doesn't like that are up there.
Well, there's 2 more creatures in his hand right now, I believe. Yep, a Scout and a Boggle. Here's the Slippery Boggle.
What was, sorry, Chris, it might have been too soon. I was in my Modern brain where Sensei's Top hasn't been legal in Modern for, forever.
So, what do you think about playing the Rancor here on Boggle as opposed to the second Scout?
I think it's probably fine because he knows that Liliana can't make him sacrifice again this turn. So maybe what he does is he tries to maximize his damage output here, and next turn he will play that Glade Cover Scout to protect it, and then after that he will jam another enchantment on if he has it.
Alright, so uptick in Liliana. Both players have to discard a card.
Didn't get a good shot at
what
Ryan been there. But it does look like Al pitched that Fatal Push that's not...
choosing to trade him off. So this is dangerous.
Well, you've also got this big Drain Life coming down here as well.
Drain 3, gain 3.
Yep.
Back to 19. And it's like you didn't see enough of this guy in Standard. Need to play him in other formats. Alright, so I do think that whole line of play there of choosing to trade off is more of Ryan not being as familiar with the deck itself.
Well, and not even necessarily the deck, but maybe cards like Liliana, because Al is probably gladly going to trade that Liliana for the Glade Cover, especially with and that's exactly what we see here.
Yep.
Especially with that Siege Rhino, and Ryan's down to 2 cards, 3 cards. So.
Yep, no creatures, and he says, "Okay, here's 4." And guess what? Here's another Siege Rhino. So he'll drop down to 8 after that. And Al will jump up to 22. Ooh, I get to ask you about basic lands.
There aren't any in play. Nope,
they're gone. We had 2 they're right gone. There. That lovely swamp and plains.
The interesting thing about it, and I'll keep it brief as we get into our sideboards, but the interesting thing about it is I think, something you guys haven't really brought up before is the aesthetics of the land based on the aesthetics of the deck. I actually like Al's choices here because I think that brown border really kind of suits his Abzan cards, the tones of the colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you would use something a little bit brighter, I think that it would kind of clash more with the deck than those more neutral colors of the unglued cards give you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
okay.
I'm personally a fan of Unhinged in general, or just full art.
Yep.
So I've got some sweet Therese Nielsen Judge lands that I like to use, but they are shiny as well. So
okay, all right. So sideboards then.
It looks like Al is running 3 Stony Silence, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Liliana, The Last Hope, 1 Abrupt Decay, 1 Kalatas, Trader of Get, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 3 Leylana Sanctity, and 1 Kitchen Finks. So I could see the Abrupt Decay coming in here to hopefully maybe get rid of something like a Daybreak Coronet.
Okay, yeah.
Kalatas maybe to provide extra blockers, but at the same time, I'm not 100% on that either.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like you already have Siege Rhino at 4. Like, do you need to have Cletus? Now, Cletus does have lifelink, though. So
right.
there's that aspect of it, too, and you might want to go, okay, maybe having that lifelink could help me out. So,
and then Liliana the Last Hope. Let me just make sure I remember what that does here. Card bot, thank you. Mm-hmm. Up to 1 target creature gets -2, -1. Obviously not very relevant. Put the top 2 cards in your library, and then you can return a creature card. That might be a decent one to recur blockers.
Mm-hmm.
And then an emblem where you get a bunch of zombie creatures, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. Mm-hmm. So, that's again, he's probably going to be looking to get rid of these fatal pushes, so he might be looking for any card he can that has game where it's fatal pushes doesn't. So,
okay. All right, so Ryan here looks like he was pulling aside a couple of cards that he is interested in, but we've got Nature's Claim in his list, 2 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Suppression Field, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Stony Silence, 2 Seal of Primordium, 2 Path. He actually has a lot of cards that are relevant in this matchup, and the debate is how many he wants to bring in and how much stuff of his own deck he wants to shave off of.
Right.
Because he's got a lot of enchantments in there. How many does he really need? I like Suppression Field because that's activated abilities costs 2 in order to activate.
Yep.
So that means all these fetch lands. That means Liliana activations. All that stuff's going to be costing mana there. I also like Blessed Alliance and Path. You need some sort of combination of removal there. I like Path more versus the Abzan, knowing that he has access to Lingering Souls.
Right.
But I don't know if Ryan knows that.
Well, and not only necessarily that, but like you said, it's definitely good to try to trade some of the decent removal spells for some of this fat, like the Siege Rhino and stuff like that. You really just don't want those guys hanging out.
Leyline of Sanctity is also nice because you can't be targeted by those Inquisitions, the Thought Seizes, and stuff like that.
Or even Liliana.
Yeah. Target player sacks a creature. Nope. Can't be targeted.
Yeah.
And I think that is something you've seen Hexproof decks run anywhere from 2 to 4 in their sideboards there because of how important it is.
Right.
And I think, mulliganing aggressively to try to get one is perfectly reasonable with this list. Now, he is on the play, so he can be able to throw down a creature early on and not have to worry about it getting stripped away for game number 2 here.
Sure.
But yeah, it looks like he is pulling aside quite a few cards to be able to bring in for this matchup now.
Yeah, and it's it is like I said, it is a difficult deck to play, and in many ways it is a combo deck. The combo being Guy plus enchantments, but it can play like a combo deck as well, where you have to look at your hand and you have 3 different types of cards. You have lands, you have creatures, and you have enchantments. So to really start cutting. Again, to make the parallel to Infect, you're really never removing entire cards from your deck. You're usually just shaving numbers. You're taking one out, one of 4 different cards, as opposed to, Al's option of probably just taking out 4 Fatal Push here.
Yeah.
Biscuits, what's happening, man?
Boggles is difficult to play? In what way?
Now, Biscuits, don't be like that. How about Boggles is difficult to play correctly? How about that?
Yeah.
Much like Affinity.
Well, it's easy to pick up and start playing and get the concept. Oh, I have one guy, I just put a bunch of stuff on him and turn him sideways kind of thing. That makes sense. But navigating different matchups and that sort of stuff, it becomes a little bit more difficult.
Thank you, Biscuit. I'm here for you, man. And I think, in all honesty, one of the things that frustrates me, and I used to be victim to it, is these decks are, easy to play. They're no-brainers, this, that, or the other. You hear it a lot about Burn, Little Kid Burn, or whatever, Little Crick Kid Green-White. But I think Burn is difficult to play, Biscuits. It's difficult to play correctly. If your opponent ends the game at 1 life, you probably played something wrong.
I agree with that. Like, there's those situations where it's like, all right, there must have been some line of play where you probably could have done at least 1 more point of damage somewhere along the line.
Yes.
So.
Plus, again, a lot of it's knowing the metagame. A lot of these decks, if you don't know the other decks in the format very well, you're going to have a harder time, winning. And I think, especially with cards like Siege Rhino, with cards like Kitchen Finks, if you're playing a deck like Burn, you really need to put them on things like that, and maybe reserve cards like Skullcrack, and Boggles is the same way.
All right, let's see.
Biscuit, sometimes it is correct to bolt yourself. I Skullcracked myself one time to win the game.
Ah.
My opponent had a Leyline of Sanctity out, and I couldn't Skullcrack them, and I needed to keep them from gaining life.
Nice.
So,
the more you know.
Yes.
It is actually reasonable to try to Skullcrack yourself. Okay, here's a Boggle to start off with. Oh, and there's a Lily already in Al's hand. And he says, well, I'm just going to take a look. Inquisition you. See what you got going on here. Oh, okay. Rest in Peace, Scout, and Daybreak.
So I think the Rest in Peace was an interesting choice. Maybe Ryan saw the Delirium in the Grimflayer and the Traverse the Uvenwald, and maybe that's kind of what he was thinking of with that inclusion.
Yeah.
Plus, some splash damage. The Lingering Souls, maybe he has.
That's true.
He might not necessarily know about the Lingering Souls, but it doesn't mean it's just not as good against them. So, Lingering Souls is much worse when you're only paying two and a white for 2/1 flyers. So.
That's true. And looks like Rancor was pulled off the top here, so he could easily start swinging in for some decent damage.
I think that's what he's thinking. Does he want to suit him up, or does he want to jam this Rest in Peace?
Cool. Comes across for 3 here.
Biscuits, we were kind of talking about that with the Rest in Peace, but, again, Ryan is still fairly new with the deck. In fact, I think this was really his first time kind of playing it, so sideboarding for decks like this proves to be fairly difficult, rather, so.
All right, Al gonna fetch away at least to 16. Let's see if he goes all the way down, draining himself away. I mean, knowing he's got that Lily in hand.
Oh, he's going to go with the basic
here. Has a forest. So we didn't see that as much when he was shuffling up, but that's just because I was not paying enough attention. Clearly.
You were probably busy updating this sweet interface that Brett made.
That's true. Actually, no, this was Richard.
Oh, Richard. Oh, it's I can't pronounce his name because it's his name backwards, right? So I think it's like OGN and then Richard backwards.
Yeah.
So there you go. Props to Richard. It looks really good. So
yeah. No, Brett has been talking about wanting to do an overlay, and we've talked about it for a while. But it's because I have no skills to do any sort of stuff like that, and so all the images always fall upon him. But he already has enough stuff to do, so.
Yeah, see, all I really do is just copy other people's stuff that I think looks good, so...
Smart. Alright.
Yeah, coming here for 3.
3 more.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a Leyline now, which would have been nice, but I like him throwing down the Scout because it's knowing that, hey, turn 3 could easily be another Liliana coming at me.
Yeah, and Biscuit in chat has a good point here about how Rest in Peace might just be a trap card. It's a trap, but it might not be as good as you feel like it is. But while what we said for Al being that Fatal Push is just a dead card and an easy card to side out, I don't think Ryan really has any cards like that in his 60. The deck runs really tight, so Biscuit brings up a good point that maybe the card needs to be important. Like, very important, and not just like a, kind of a whatever.
Mm-hmm. And here's Lingering Souls.
Chris, Rancor will not go to your hand if there's a Rest in Peace out.
Yep, and we see a Rest in Peace Getting thrown down now. All right.
It is a enter the graveyard trigger, so it will.
And yeah, he chooses to pass on over after that, which I like that line of play. Don't have it be traded off for nothing.
Well, yeah, and we got to see it blank that Lingering Souls, kind of like we said there. So, and Al knew about it, so he just consciously decided to play into it. I guess he felt he really needed the blockers here, being at 12 life. We got 2 mana.
Collected Brutality is he choosing? Escalating it.
So it looks like modes are going to be you discard, or I make you discard.
If you have instant or sorcery.
Actually, no, probably not. I don't think Al would pick that because he likely doesn't have.
Well,
yeah.
I
think that might have been a little bit of a mistake on Al's part.
Yeah.
Because the decks don't normally play.
And then lose 2, gain 2. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe just thinking that Inquisition's going to be a dead card.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't know. Horizon Canopy.
He's getting up there. He'll get that Leilana Sanctity into play soon.
Yeah. But until then, he can't put any pressure on Al. And this is allowing Al to do some more stabilization here.
Right.
Get more blockers out. He can fetch down and be able to play Liliana next turn. Whoa, gonna draw. Okay.
Well, this will help out a little bit. That's an ethereal armor, which is going to pump the power and toughness of this Bogle.
For each enchantment you control,
yes,
gets +1/+1, and he has 3 enchantments.
Oh, I forgot. It also gains first strike.
Yes, does gain first strike.
So even if it didn't pump the butt, as it were, he would still be okay to jam in there with it.
Alright, so we're going to see Fetch come down here for Al. Down 13 from the Fetch. And 3, 4, 5, 6 he'll take from the Boggle here. Unless he does any blocking, but...
It should just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 2 from the Rancor, 2 from the armor, and 1 from the Boggle.
Well, he gets 3 from the armor because of rest in
peace.
Oh, is
it enchantments you control? Oh, yeah. Boy, yeah.
I don't know if he realizes that, though. And maybe, it's technically off. But it should be...
For some reason, I just thought it was the...
Well, there are stuff that does check auras. Yeah, so there are... Alright, so he says, yep, please sack a creature. And he's like, yep, cool, get out of here.
We've already decided I don't play good decks, so I'm not familiar with this one. I was just going to traverse here for a basic, since can't have Delirium with a Rest in Peace in play.
Yep, so he will get his last basic. There's a train for all of you guys not in Winchester.
I think that Ryan needs to train with this deck a little more too.
Nice.
He's doing pretty good, but he needs definitely needs to practice.
All right, so Daybreak Coronet off the top, right? I think that was just a Spider Umbra. All right, Boggle, and it was a Spider Umbra.
Does make him Liliana proof, which is nice for him.
True. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Move to combat, swing 8.
Yeah, but I'm not too sure. I think he just might run the Traverse and the Grimflare as far as his Delirium package, but I don't really know. I can't imagine running anything else. So, counting up some damage here.
Yeah, and this would make me wonder if he's forgetting to count up Rest in Peace or not.
So
No, he's saying 4. Okay, good. All right, he's not. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he is forgetting it.
Yeah. And obviously the table judge is too. Which is me.
But it doesn't matter because he still is able to tie it up. So now it's 1-1.
Yes.
And that, I mean, that's showing you that, like, once you start building up and you have an extra creature around to deal with that sacrifice effects, you should be in a pretty good position here.
Yeah, and a lot of them run Dryad Arbor partially for that reason,
yep.
where, if they jam into Liliana or something, and they can fetch a Dryad Arbor up to satiate that sacrifice requirement.
Yeah.
So it looks like Al's ended up bringing in 1 Liliana the Last Hope, 1 Kalatas, and taking out 2 Fatal Push. Okay. I would imagine that he only plays 2 Fatal Push,
that
and
would
only
make
took
sense.
2 out. So.
Yeah.
And then it looks like he decided... No, actually, I guess I'm mistaken here. It looks like Game 3 here, he sided in an Abrupt Decay and sided out a 3rd Fatal Push. So I'm not really sure why he would leave any number of Fatal Push in.
Yeah. I mean, even if he had 4, you can say, okay, Last Hope, Kalatas, Abrupt Decay, and even Kitchen Finks.
I mean, I was going to say, Kitchen Finks is just better than, and Surgical. As dumb as that sounds, it's still just better than Fatal Push, right?
Yeah, it is.
So...
All right, and on Ryan's side, we see he opts for 2 Ley Lines and 2 Rested Beasts. And he opts to get rid of the Ledgewalker, which, with Infect and Green-White Hexproof, it is a very rare situation that you should be stripping away your creatures.
Right.
You have so few of them in here. And again, that's just Ryan being not as experienced. Griffspoon, I think that's a fine one to keep in. I don't know if he's got more than 2 in his list, though. And maybe going through it saying, oh, well, Rancor's really sweet. The First Strike's really sweet. Protection from creatures is sweet.
Yeah, I would probably opt for Spider Umbra first.
Yeah.
It does have the
Totem Armor,
which is nice. But the Griffboon just makes it jump over everything except Lingering Souls tokens. I believe the only thing we've seen from Al with any kind of flying is actually the Lingering Souls tokens.
Yep.
So. Yeah, no, Biscuit might be right here. He said, I think Al has too many cards to cut and not enough to bring in. And, I mean, you're probably right, and we kind of discussed that. But, again, I think the Fatal Pushes, in my mind at least, would just be the first thing to go, hey, we're going to grab these, and they are going away.
Yeah. This is a dead card no matter when I draw it.
I have to find literally a card in here that has to be better than this.
So with Al flicking through his cards, I saw at least a Siege right now.
He's got a Plains there.
There's a Plains. So Ryan going to be mulliganing down. And again, you can aggressively mulligan with this deck, and you should. You want to make sure that you have at least a creature and an enchantment and a land.
Well, the other thing...
you got one of each of those, you should be able to keep the hand pretty much.
Yeah, well, and the other thing that Ryan has to be a little worried about here is that, if he does keep a one-creature hand, Al does play some number of Inquisition, maybe some number of Thoughtseize, and he can quickly turn a decent-looking hand into just utter garbage.
Yeah, that is also true. So would you aggressively mulligan down to a ley line knowing that you're on the draw here?
Probably not.
Okay.
Especially with only 2 copies in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the math on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a non-issue because that's not at all what happened. I've always been a really big fan of Edict effects, like the neg-2 ability on Liliana. You've got Cruel Edict is legal in Modern, actually. It was printed in 8th edition. And then I think that there was, you've got a couple of them, right? Like there's the one that you can gain life off of the power and toughness, or the power rather, and then there's one that they gain life off of the power.
Yep.
I don't remember, I think it was Gate Crash. Chandler's Edict's not legal. It's got flashback. It's only been reprinted in like commander sets and stuff like that. Chris here. Tribute to Hunger is the Innistrad one that's 2 and a black. You gain life, and then the 1 and a black one is the from Gatecrash, and it's just sacrifice. They sack a creature and gain life equal to its power. So.
That one's toughness actually.
Oh, is it toughness?
The Gatecrash one is toughness.
Okay.
But yes, yeah. It's sweet. And then Blessed Alliance, they sack attacking creature.
Yeah.
Yep. Which could be a potential that Al could have in his list if you're thinking about other effects that can make you lose creatures, because it is Abzan. But nothing that Ryan has seen in the other 2 games yet, so. Alright. Al going to drop down to 19. No enchantments yet played for Ryan, just throwing down both of his creatures. And, gotta make sure you have at least 2 creatures or a way to fetch into Dryad Arbor around that 3 mana time period where Al might be playing Liliana.
There's a kitty cat in the room for those of you listening.
Yep, it's House of Cats.
I was forewarned, don't worry.
Oh, okay. Last Hope.
To the Slaughter is another sacrifice effect, not one of the ones that we were talking about, but that's another one, yeah. So yeah, Liliana, the Last Hope is going to do a little bit of work here. Granted, it's not necessarily going to kill anything, but it might let Al race to get some creatures down to...
he's got the Dryad Arbor in his hand. Yeah. I think play it now. It looks like he's got 2 other lands. Like, this is the time to play it. At least you'll have a threat next turn.
Right. Yeah, and we will see how it works out. I mean, it's an interesting battle in this.
Draw a card.
Interesting battle in this matchup because, they're both on opposite plans. The one is trying to control the board while the other is playing creatures that can't be controlled, but the creatures are a lot bigger, so.
Oh, cool. We'll be getting some Omnicut cards added to MTG Bot. Good to know. So there might be a temporary period where we will not have access to specific cards from CardBot because it's getting updated, so we have Omnicut cards in the list. Ooh, okay.
The good news is that you have the human CardBot with you today.
That is true.
Except I still can't think of the name of this Gatecrash card, so I'm going to look it up.
Oh gosh. I can see the art too. What is it?
It's Devour Flesh.
Oh, that's what it is.
Target player sacrifices a creature, then gains life equal to its toughness.
Alright.
So
it says I'm just gonna kill Lily. 4 damage coming across.
Al has some Siege Rhino mana, and he has a Siege Rhino.
Drain you 3. Puts Ryan to 14, and that is a little bit too big to just swing through with that Rancor.
For now.
For now.
All it needs is like an Ethereal Armor or something here, right?
That's true.
Give it first strike and 4 power. Was it a called shot? Was it a called shot? Oh, that's not an Ethereal Armor.
No.
That's a loss of 2 life,
though.
Yeah.
Life, though. Daybreak.
That is a Daybreak Coronet.
And what else is he going to put on there? A second Rancor? Okay.
Well.
He's an 8/4 trample, vigilance, lifelink, and first strike.
Yeah, I think that gets past the Siege Rhino.
Yeah, and he says, okay, I'll swing in 8 and I'll gain 8, so I'll be back to 20.
It does look like we've lost CardBot, so.
Okay.
Biscuit in chat, not a big fan of the Daybreak Coronet. The interesting thing, interaction that happens, some players don't know, is that the Daybreak will fall off if it is the only enchantment.
True.
So if they wouldn't have had the second Rancor, Al could have just gotten rid of the first Rancor.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay it away, and boom.
Then it's the old 2-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a true 2-for-1 though, because he still gets the Rancor back, right? So.
Right. All right.
Here's old Grim Flayer again.
Throwing some guys in the way.
The Vigilance is also pretty nasty in this this matchup because he can gain the life twice, and obviously Al doesn't have a profitable swing here at all.
Yeah. 1, 2. Yep, that's a bunch. Oh, another creature. It would have been much better to get another
Chris
enchantment
Hare, Abrupt
here.
Decay is not a bulk rare. It gets rid of counter... Oh. Oh.
All right. Here's another...
Dried Arbor.
Yeah.
Little Dried Arbor there. It's still Liliana proof. Al's got to be a little nervous here. Liliana's a... Why? Looks like he's going to Abrupt Decay the Daybreak Coronet, I would imagine, and not the Rancor.
Yep. Wait, why are you turning your guys...
I think what he is doing is Alice saying, I want to respond to you going to combat so that I can kill your Daybreak Coronet.
So he won't have Vigilance anymore.
However, I think that might have been a mistake, because then if he would have just let him attack, he could do it and then kill the... Maybe traded the Siege Rhino. Yeah. Actually, he could have traded the Grim Flayer.
True,
for
because he does not get any toughness off it.
Right.
So he says, we'll trade off like so.
Yeah, I'm with you, Biscuit. I think letting him attack is probably where I would have been as well.
He says, all right, let's throw down all these Rancors, and here's another Boggle.
There are so many cats. Yeah, exactly. Put 2 Rancors back in his hand and getting rid of a creature that you can't kill is definitely a good trade.
Ooh, some lifelink of his own.
Kalitas.
3/4 lifelink. Whenever an opponent creature dies, you can put a 2/2 zombie on the battlefield, pay 3, sack it, give him +2/+2.
Not only can you, but you must.
You must.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting because it is not a replacement effect. The removing the card from the game, it is actually it is a requirement. Rather, excuse me, it's not a trigger, it's a replacement effect. Sorry. So it's not something that you can even really miss.
Yeah, cool.
There was an update to some rules today that we might maybe discuss a little bit later. I forgot. Cool. Since you didn't really look at some of the spoilers and all of that you might not have caught it. But
I'll have to go through it all and read it.
It has to do with the old go to combat rule.
Didn't they already update stuff to go to combat?
Well, they've updated the update.
Okay.
It's like who watches the Watchmen.
Nice. Hyena Umbra, first strike, totem armor, +1/+1.
So he's currently a 6/2, first striking, kill me twice. I think that math's right.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. Yep, first strike, and you got to kill me twice to kill me.
Okay.
Biscuit, the judge interaction, or rather the rules interaction between Kalitas and Anger of the Gods is one that you probably intuitively shouldn't agree with. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I do remember reading it and saying, that didn't work at all the way that I thought that it would work. I believe the reason is that... So I think your question is, if you Anger the Gods with the Kalitas out, will you still get the tokens? And I believe that the answer is yes, because the Kalitas only, and don't quote me exactly on this, I'd have to reread the reference, only cares about the fact that they would go to the graveyard. And then the Anger the Gods actually puts a replacement of them getting exiled instead, I believe is what it cares about.
Alright, here's 5 coming across, and 3 of it lifelink.
Chris, we'll probably get into it here in a little bit, the rules change. If you stick out till the end of the stream, you'll be sure to see all of our great content. So Al probably pointing out there, I believe, that he has trample, kind of being a nice guy, takes his backsies and decide if he wants to block the Kalitas instead.
He says no.
But I guess he's still going to jam in front of the the Grimflayer.
Or maybe they're still doing the discussion about it.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't moved it to the graveyard yet. And if he chooses to block, he will be able to get a zombie out of this.
That's true, too.
So, it's... Al's really hoping for that.
Right.
But regardless, you see he's going to gain 3 life off of him coming across, whether it gets blocked or not.
Yes.
And says, okay, does not opt to block, so we'll take 5 here, dropping to 13. And checking things out with his Grimflayer there. Alright, checking some math. I think there's a lingering in his hand. So, he could start to gum up the board with some more stuff.
The Rancor does provide trample, though.
It does. Oh, another Grimflayer. Okay. And yeah, there's Lingering Souls. So that, gets in the way and has a pretty decent amount of damage that could come across. Ooh. That changes things.
What do we got? Oh, my.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. 9 from all of his enchantments, and then 1 from the
I always
scout.
see that.
Trample, first strike. Okay. I don't know if I agree with him bringing in the Arbor and the Boggle here. Because again, you could just trade off with the Lingering Souls kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. You're gonna let him eat a creature for free, right?
Yeah.
There's no advantage to saying, hey, here's these 2 1/1s. You want to just eat one for free?
Right. And then you're going to gain more life off of it, essentially, because... Alright, so he's going to jump in the way with the 2/2 here.
Well, yeah, and he gets the zombies, right? If those creatures die, he's going to get these zombies as well. So.
Oh, wait, does he have Delirium now? Does Grimflayer get buffed up?
Let's see. Creature, land, Planeswalker, and instant. Yep, he sure does.
So So Grimflayer
should be a 4/4.
4/4. So he takes 6 from all of that instead. Alright, he's got 2 zombies. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Just gonna crack back for the win, it looks like.
Boom. Alright. That was a good game, though.
Yeah.
The match itself was pretty
Magic,
nice. I think if Brian had more experience with the deck, I feel like he could have maybe pulled that one out at the end.
Well, I do believe
there was that kind of couple interactions where you saw him kind of hesitant in certain situations, how to attack, how to block, kind of thing. But
yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe at the end of it he said, "Man, if I wouldn't have attacked with these, you couldn't have killed me on that crackback." I believe he said that. So yeah. I think it's hopefully he learned from it and there's an experience. Just to answer Charles Biscuits in chat real quick, Leovold being banned. I did not realize that. I didn't look at actually, just now I looked.
Okay.
Leovold is banned. A lot of people complained about him as a very, very, very...
hateful?
Yes. I mean, doing things like Teferi's Puzzle Box, so your opponents just don't get to draw cards for the rest of the game.
Wow.
The way that rules interaction works. You got a couple different cards that'll do that with, where he goes draw 2 and then discard, so then you only get to draw 1, and then you have to discard. So things like that. It's very hateful deck from what I understand. And then the unbanned, Protean Hawk.
Okay.
Protean Hawk is the 4 green 6/6. When he dies, you can search your library for 6 power worth of creature and put it into play. Protean Hawk's a big combo card. I've actually never been a fan of it due to Flash. There's a card Flash that got banned in Vintage because it would basically, oddly enough, before Flash was keyworded, they keyworded this Flash because of the card, and it would let you pay 1 and a blue to put a creature from your hand into play. And the way that it was worded is thanks for the host. You basically had to pay for it when it came into play or sacrifice it. So they'd effectively get to go 1 and a blue, put this Protean Hawk into play, sacrifice it, find a bunch of slivers, poison slivers or stuff, and just kill you that way. So Protean Hawk I'm a little nervous about, but to be honest with you, people in our shop don't really play combos like that for the most part, maybe some of them. But Leovold, again, nobody plays Leovold at our shop, but I've just read a lot of hate for that card online. So Leovold is a deck that I would totally play in Commander, and Biscuits mentioned that he was about to build it. So I was kind of right there with you, where I was like, man, this is a deck that I would absolutely love to just...
be super hateful and have fun. Cool.
But, the guys, like you said earlier, you mentioned him, he's seen a lot of play in Legacy, and, there are definitely cards, only powerful cards he play in Legacy. So he is obviously a powerful card himself. So
cool. So updates to the ban restricted list.
We did miss that one. And I'm remiss because I'm a Commander player. Right?
Yeah.
Like that should have been the first thing I did this morning. Controller of affected objects as such, which... right, I think the problem... I'm not exactly sure, again, Beretta, what Biscuits was necessarily referencing. I just kind of inferred, and I don't even remember the interaction exactly on it outside of what I read anyway, so... the ruling is that he did get the tokens. That's the one that you disagreed with. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Okay.
Again, I'm a Lily level 1. Hopefully soon to be level 2. But that's a level 2 style question, guys. I only know, don't collude or you're disqualified. That's the only rule we have to know, I think. So.
You know a lot of the stuff, but you're going to be level 2 soon, though, right?
Hopefully, yeah. I've got a judge gathering. I'm going to actually this Saturday up in Laurel, Maryland. There's a sweet game store up there called Family Game Store. We'll probably play some casual stuff at afterwards. Cool. But I've got to do a report on that, and then I have to get a recommendation from a level 2. And then the level 3s that I'm going to be working with, I'll probably work events, so they'll be my recommendation. So hopefully next PPTQ season.
Up. Yep. Cool.
And I did just get some verification for our PPTQs coming up in our local shops as well. Okay. So we do have judges for that, and we'll do this. That's right, Richard. Thank you. Easy L2. Yes.
Nice.
So.
And I know, Richard, I'm slacking on the fonts aspect. You gotta make do with my quick paste job of other fonts to make do until I take the time to sit down and not be as lazy.
Biscuit, I believe, actually just went to a regional PTQ, if I'm not mistaken. He won one of our local PPTQs, nice. And I believe he went to a regional one. I'm not sure. I know he got the sweet promo. I think he was trying to pawn off on me because he knows my love for foils. So.
I haven't been able to play in any of them yet because I'm super busy with real life.
And this awesome stream that you do weekly, so that's understandable.
But hopefully this summer, All right, so we've done round 2.
Oh no! He did got 25th, and they paid out to 24th. You should contact my friend Brian Braunduin because for the longest time he was the perpetual 9th place, and he might have some advice for you on how to just get one spot higher.
Yeah. All right. We've seen round 1. We've seen round 2. Going into round 3 now. We've got only 5 players sitting there with 6 points. Jeremy Miller and Ryan Carter are going to be on camera. So we got to see a deck tech from Ryan to start the stream out with the deck that he played a lot the previous season, but he has not yet played it this season.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit interesting. Devin and Dwayne also sitting at 6 points. Dwayne was one of our players to make the Invitational last go round. Devin's come close, but he always misses weeks.
Yeah.
There's always like 3 or so weeks that he ends up missing, and just short of getting in there. So he's always around that like top 12, top 16 mark there. So we'll be jumping into round 3, and I do appreciate everybody interacting in chat, asking the questions, getting the talks going.
Berta there with his